How far does the law protect freedom of speech when it comes to symbolic speech? First, what is symbolic speech? Symbolic speech is a legal term in the United States law used to describe actions that purposefully and discernibly convey a particular message or statement to those viewing it. This is the case of Tinker v. Des Moines. Pictured is Mary Beth Tinker and her brother John Tinker. Tinker v. Des Moines was a court case that reached the Supreme Court of the United States in 1969. This case began in 1965 after the U.S. and Vietnam came to a truce. A small group of students ranging from the ages of 13 to 16, including Mary Beth Tinker, who was 13 at the time, decided they were going to wear black armbands with peace signs on them to show their support. After the school heard of this, they warned any student who chose to wear these armbands on school property that they would be suspended. These students chose to wear these armbands regardless and were later asked to leave the school. When the students refused, they were suspended. The parents of the students filed a court case stating that their children's right to freedom of speech and expression had been violated. This case was later dismissed by the district court. The question continued: is this a violation of the First Amendment? When the case was brought to the Supreme Court, it was ruled in a 7-2 vote in favor of Tinker that yes, this was a violation of the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Justice Abe Fortas, who wrote the majority opinion, even said, "Students do not shed their constitutional rights of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate," meaning students do not give up their rights when they enter a school building. The dissenting opinion was written by Justice Hugo L. Black, saying that those rights are taken away when the act becomes disruptive. The argument was dismissed because it was found not disruptive. This argument created the substantial disruption test. This is a decision-making tool for how school administrators can limit students' right to freedom of speech. The criteria said in order for students' rights to be restricted on school grounds, it must materially and substantially interfere with the requirements of appropriate discipline in the operations of the school.
This is the case Barber v. Dearborn. On March 2003, Barber wore a shirt to school that displayed a photograph of George W. Bush with the caption "International Terrorist." The principal had a problem with Barber's shirt and asked him to change or call his father so he could pick him up. Barber refused to change the shirt and was sent home. A hearing for the motion was held on September 17, 2003. The district court said that Barber's shirt was protected by the First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. The court said there's no proof that Arabs would react negatively to the shirt, disrupting or interfering with the educational atmosphere. The court also found that the school promised ban on Barber's shirt would create untold damage, and that protecting the students' right to free speech was in the public interest. Barber's temporary injunction request was allowed by the court because he stood a fair chance of winning on the issue.
So symbolic speech, is it protected? The court says yes. Symbolic speech in both the cases of Tinker v. Des Moines and the case of Barber v. Dearborn, this kind of symbolic speech was ruled to be protected by the First Amendment right, freedom of speech.